To the distinguished gentleman from California for this debate. I must say that the legislation before us and the approach that it embodies reflect a profound disrespect for our criminal justice system and for our constitutional values. To begin with, they want to change the mandatory detention provisions, which we've had since 1996 on a bipartisan basis for the last 28 years. We have operated on the basis of criminal conviction, which is obviously congruent with the constitutional demands and values that we have in our country. And now, without having a legislative hearing, they want to radically revise the statutes to say that it's sufficient for somebody to have been charged with or arrested for an offense like shoplifting or theft, even if the charges are dropped and even if charges are never brought after an arrest is made. And so it seems to me that they are backtracking from purported fidelity to our constitutional values. Similarly, they want to essentially overthrow Justice Kavanaugh's 8-1 decision in United States versus Texas from just a couple of years ago, where the court determined that states do not have standing just to go to court to say that they don't like the way that a particular administration is allocating its resources and implementing a public policy. Now, if they want to argue that there's a law that's unconstitutional, they can argue that, but they can't go to court and simply say that the executive branch is implementing the law in a way that a particular state doesn't like. And yet they want to occasion that massive shift of power, as Justice Kavanaugh characterized it, so that the states would essentially be able to control federal immigration policy. I'm still reeling from reading the gentleman from the author of this legislation's statements yesterday, which I think also speak to a fundamental disrespect for the rule of law. As he says, since January 6th, hundreds of peaceful protesters have been hunted down, arrested, held in solitary confinement, and treated unjustly. Countless hours and taxpayer dollars have been spent pursuing innocent grandmothers and raiding President Trump's home, while terrorists and millions of illegal immigrants continue to cross our nation's borders. That's the fundamentally demagogic and lawless approach to this whole debate that they've taken. Our body was invaded by a mob of insurrectionists who injured 140 officers, wounding them, hospitalizing them, and they cannot even acknowledge that as a fact, but instead change the subject to millions of people crossing the border illegally, which over the decades has undoubtedly happened under both Democrats and Republicans. That's what we should be working on today. Thank you, and I yield back.